On any given year, more than 500,000 Indian students take the joint entrance exam with the hopes of getting into the prestigious Indian Institute of Technology. With an acceptance rate of less than 3%, the IITs are one of the most, if not the most difficult colleges to get into. One such applicant was Akash, who graduated from IIT Guwahati in 2014 with a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering. But more importantly, he happens to be my chuddy buddy. He is currently an associate vice president at Baiju's Future School while also being a singer and a songwriter with songs like Dastoor,
दस्तूर सुने हैं जरूर
and Zindagi Kamini.
जिंदगी कमीनी भी है अगर तो क्या पड़े.
So let's get into this week's episode of the Inquiry Hour and have a little chat with Akash Tripathi. So before we get into the meat of the interview, it'd be fun to talk about childhood. So how was your childhood like?
My childhood was like any other childhood. I would say a lot of things were ideal. I come from a very loving family, very nurturing. Like any other mom, my mom is has been nurturing even right now, right? And I have an elder brother, and he's always been, throughout my childhood, growing up also. He used to set a milestone, success milestone, and my job was to just meet that. So it was really good. I always had a path as a child, and um, my dad my dad comes from a very he comes from a village in UP, right, which is still a village right now. So that's where he comes from, and uh, he made it big, right? He became an IFS officer, Indian Forest Service, and I think merit was something that was appreciated a lot. And at that, for us, it was academic merit at that point in time. And it was also during the childhood that my mother, who is herself a music student, she introduced me to music. And I think it was really really good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. There's so the origin of the question itself is on how much upbringing impacts one's future, right? So
Yeah.
I guess you to a large extent have accomplished those merits that you talked about, right? To a decent extent. What how was that childhood directly impacting that? Like from where did that ambition to get into IIT emerge? And who are those, like what were those stories that, got you to be aware of IIT Guwahati? Because that seems to be nebulous for most people.
Yeah. So IIT pretty much happened because um like during my school, that was considered as a benchmark that almost everyone chased. Right. Of course, there were people who genuinely interested in commerce or were genuinely interested in bio. Right. So they took different streams. They went for an MBBS. Right. Aims. But yeah, like I think my dad. That subject was mathematics, and so mathematics has been something that's been like almost a language, but more in an academic purview at during our childhood, right? And yeah, I think that's the reason why we went for math. And then in math, one of the paths during that time, or one of the benchmarks of success were IITs. And yeah, that's how it happened. And IIT Guwahati was just like it was because of the rank that I got. So yeah, so that was the best option I was getting, and yeah, it was. I had an incredible time in IIT Guwahati.
So, from what I understand, you graduated from IIT Guwahati in 2014,
Yeah.
and you graduated in chemical engineering. Just
Yeah.
out of curiosity, why chemical engineering specifically?
because because that was that because that was the gate that was open to me in
Okay.
IIT Guwahati. IIT Guwahati is like, while it was a newer IIT, I think it was in 90s when it was made. So it was still a new, like it was newer IIT, but it was still an old IIT. It was the newest old IIT, right? And then we had a string of IITs that were made later, right? Which is always good, right? Over a long period of time. So yeah, so IIT Guwahati was that old IIT which was offering me chemical engineering as a gate.
You had any other options other than chemical engineering?
I don't remember, man. Seriously, don't remember. I think yeah. I had like textiles I think Delhi, maybe.
Oh,
I don't remember. I might be wrong, very wrong. It was,
this is.
but interestingly, it was my dad and my mom who filled my counseling. Yeah. So
But
I was just told that, okay, you might get IIT Guwahati Chemical Engineering. So that's how it was.
this is such an Indian thing, dude. It is
Yeah,
such
yeah,
an.
yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
But then, if that was almost like a coincidence, the decision to do a specific engineering at a specific college,
That was a coincidence. That was a
but
coincidence. Yeah.
then you might have had something that you wanted to do, right? If it was not that, what would you have pursued? Or let's say if you had
Uh,
the choice, if you had the distinct choice.
I think at that point in time, it was my choice as well, right? Of course,
Wow.
it was blinded, right? It was blinded by a lot of things. For instance, by design, my exposure to music was always as a listener, right? Okay, I used to sing, but not professionally pursuing it. That was never the. It was always like, okay, you sing, but yeah, you have to get good marks. That's how that is how you it used to be. So, but I always like that's what I said, right? I used to chase like marks in academics, right? That's what I like. I used to chase them, not always catch up with them, but yeah.
Wow.
So that's what it used to be. So if you ask me, it was my choice only, right? It wasn't like uh, something else. But had I been exposed, let's say, had literature been like both of us come from like a tech background, right? And like I'm very passionate about how things are taught, right? So I think if the treatment of subjects such as social sciences and literature, right, Hindi, English, had it been like serious, I think yeah, my choice might have changed.
My sister is rolling on the bed. If she listens to this, she's going to be so happy because she's an art student and she's like, I'm the cautionary tale for her. Like,
Okay,
okay, this is how engineers are, this is how engineers think. And
okay,
she took the exact opposite route. But yeah, this her decisions were completely autonomous. Like she saw things and she made those decisions on her own. So I think it's a very generational thing that I'm seeing. A lot of kids now are so exposed to
yeah,
new
yeah, 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 yeah.
new paths when it comes to career itself, and like there are choices emerging also, new things are changing so fast.
So
It
fast,
took
so fast. I
it,
remember, I in fact remember, I don't remember what survey it was. I don't remember the names of the survey and all, but I think I just, out of curiosity or maybe some research that I was doing for a course, right, what course to be made and all, while I was at a, uh, a tech firm in the professional space, right? During that time, I landed up on a result where YouTuber was the most pursued
right,
profession by the kids. Yeah, yeah, and I
influencers,
think
YouTubers.
I think engineering was like never like it was not it's not really a pursued one. It was still in the I think in the top 10 or I think top 20. But yeah, it was not the most pursued one at all. The good thing is that I think it's like if you ask me, because of the like you said, right, the exposure that kids have. Yeah, actually, not only that, the exposure that parents choose to give the kids, right?
Right.
Right? So parents choose to give the kids. Because of that, they can also give the kids a privilege of choice too, right? The liberty to actually choose. So the survey was actually filled by the kids,
Oh my
right?
god.
right? Had it been filled by a parent, I think engineering might have ranked better. I think, and maybe YouTuber would not have been the top thing. Yeah, it still would be different from how it used to be at our time.
Let's come back to the IIT side of things, right?
Yeah,
I suppose a lot of viewers are going to see the thumbnail, and that's going to be the like a big attraction to click on this podcast. So, um, coming back to JE, coming back to IIT, JEs are notoriously difficult. They are
yeah,
some of the hardest entrance exams you could give on planet Earth.
that's
And
true. Yeah.
on top of that, IIT, getting into IIT itself is super competitive. What makes it difficult? Like from the outside, we hear about the difficulty, but is it the sheer amount of studying? Is it the variety of questions, or is it extracurricular requirements? What is that? What makes IIT so difficult, such a difficult nut to crack?
I think first of all, a lot has changed since I took JE. Right, it was in 2010. Right, so I'm not sure. I'm not exactly sure about the criteria. Right, the things that are considered. But if you ask me, I think a lot of tough parts would have remained the same. I think they keep changing the format, admission criteria or all, but I think it'll still remain tough, right? So I think one of the toughest things would be, of course, the volume of things that has to be covered, right? Because just can't leave a topic that like, you just
Oh,
can't. Yeah, if you leave a topic, you lose a mark. That's how it
wow.
is, right? You like I think papers that I'd seen during my preparation, they were covering like 80% of the syllabus, right? And like it's just impossible for you to leave a topic. For instance, I think during that time, uh, there was this Heisenberg uncertainty principle that had nothing in it, just a formula. I don't even remember the formula right now, but yeah, that had nothing in it, just a formula. And there were people who used to think, okay, what's there to do in this? And then there was a whole passage on Heisenberg uncertainty principle, 12 marks gone, right off the bat. And it would be so easy as scoring. So I think volume, yes, volume, the part of coverage that you want to do. Second is the competition. It's incredible. It's unbelievable, right? And I think that like there's a third aspect of thing that I feel is less addressed is not everyone is developed at that age to decide whether they want to be engineers or even to solve a problem in math that is asked in JE, right?
Hmm.
They're not developed, and maybe give them 2 more years, and they might do wonders. But damn, because they've like there's a I think a number of attempts criteria, right?
Oh,
So that is another pressure.
I
You
didn't know
can't really, yeah,
that.
yeah. Back in our times, there were 2 attempts. Yeah, so that's the thing, no. So you never know, right? You never know. Like if you give like 1 more year to someone, and they might crack it. So that entire volume boxed into 2 years, and like I would say every family in India, right, has a kid who is performing really well, right, or who was chasing marks, right. So I
Yeah.
think, and the number of families we have in India, that so competing with all those kids, right, top notch kids, I think this entire equation, no, it just makes it very tough,
I
very tough.
can't imagine the heartbreak. Like you attempting the second time, giving yours and not making it. Oh,
Not making it, yeah, yeah, yeah. There was a story. I think I've forgotten the name of the guy, but he actually took the exam 5 or 6 times. The fifth time, I think he got a second rank, and then he appeared again, and he got first.
whoa.
Yeah. So what is this? So that's why I think he was alone responsible for limiting the number of attempts. He was single-handedly responsible. I mean, I think this when a slide was being presented back then, to decide whether to limit the number of years, number of attempts or not. I think it was the slide of this guy, which like
You're
made
like a Marvel super villain. This is evil. This is just evil.
this evil,
Wrong.
right? Yeah, yeah. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think those are the elements. I think there's a lot of one very difficult thing is the difference between education in school and jail. Because see, the thing is, if things are compounded every day, right? Consider human body, right? Human body gets food at appropriate times, right? And it grows. And like our parents make sure that we get like growth food, right? Which helps us in a balanced growth, right? Imagine that like that's not done, and all of a sudden we expect 10 years down the line that we start giving growth food. Like our bodies will crumble. So that's what happens, right? You don't get the education that's required for JEE. I'm not saying there's no right and wrong. I'm not saying JEE is the like right exam and it asks all the right questions. But I think if we were to do an equality check, I think there would be a huge mismatch in how things are taught in schools versus and must be changing now. But yeah, that's how it is. I think if it were compounded, right? Uh, math was taught as well as it is expected in like during JEE, I think things would be slightly different.
Talking about compounding, when did you start prepping for IIT? If compounding required a certain mindset, certain approach to studying itself, you might have started studying quite early, right?
Not
Taking that
I did
approach.
so I started I think I started studying I think in the 10th vacations, 10th
Oh,
standard ke summer vacations, like in that neighborhood. It was not very early. I started early. I didn't start very early. I started in the neighborhood of 10th. I remember like people telling me that integration is the toughest math topic.
calculus,
Even in calculus integration.
calculus integration. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went for it. I took a Shanti Narayan ka kitab from
Uh,
the library and started studying it. I was just having fun because I was not in that the system of JEE yet. I was in 10th standard.
yeah.
It was like a leisure reading for me at that point in time. But I think it helped me a lot because then integration was very easy for me. I
Right.
read that book. I think Shanti Narayan used to be a great book.
Yeah.
But
I think
yeah,
I also so once I got into engineering and once I started, I guess, thinking on my own about implementation of these things. It was very late that I even thought of studies
exactly. Yeah.
as implementation information that allows you to implement it in real life, right? So even triple integrals to calculate surface area, volume, and stuff like that. Like no one told
During
me integration was meant to do that. Like it was.
exactly. That's the thing. And the thing is that like every child, every human being starts questioning these things at a later at not at the same stage. It's not like when someone hits 18 and they are like, okay, why?
Yep,
Why are
yep,
things
yep.
happening like this? It is not some people are like conditioned to do it at 12, right? So they just force fit why everywhere, right?
Right.
And some people are not like for some people it's more important to eat food and get money for the house. So they can't really focus on that, right? It's a typical Maslow's hierarchy. So yeah, so there are kids who, and of course developmental things are also there. It's a very high pressure thing. I think to expect a child to expect every child to be capable of showing whether they are a JE worth material or not at the same age, I think it's insane. It's crazy. It's not. But like I know that's that's the best solution that they have. But I think it's insane because I've seen so many of my peers currently, right, who've done so well. The thing is that the platform of IIT is like it's stolen from them because they were expected to showcase their brilliance during those JE period, but that for some reason didn't happen. And then, but right now they're doing incredibly well. The critical thinking, the reasoning, everything is super. So yeah, I think that's something something that people should focus on solving.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Taking us back to those early stages, right? You said you
Yeah.
started prepping for IIT when you were in 10th grade. What are some early moments when you felt the struggle, you felt the pressure? Are there any stories that you can share, or were you like ekdam like a duck taking into water, like a limitless kid, ekdam like was it a struggle for you? And if so, could you share some stories around it?
Yeah, sure. I think yeah, it was a struggle at times. Especially so I'll tell you when I actually joined the coaching, right? It was in my 12th standard, not in my 11th standard. So we shifted to Kota. Uh, Me, my brother, and my mom. So three of us shifted to Kota, and my brother was doing his last year of coaching because he was after it was an after 12th year for him. So he was doing last year coaching, and for me it was the first year coaching, but 12th standard. So what happens in for the 12th standard kids is so right after 12 they have to appear for the first attempt. So
Yeah.
I had to do the syllabus of 11th and 12th JE in 1 year,
Yep.
right? So that was one thing, right? It was like the castle was bound to fall, right? The house of cards was bound to fall because it was 1 year and then the like 2 years of classes had to be done. Uh, I also had boards, and there was this weird rule in CBSE that in your after I think after your 11th grade you can't change the school and not change the board. So you can't stay in CBSE and change the school board. So that can't happen. Or maybe zone. I think that was a constraint that I had to work around. So I had to move to Rajasthan board. So this was a huge change for me, right? The syllabus was great, but the volume of Rajasthan board also was very high. So I had JE to deal with, and then Rajasthan board board exams to deal with. So there were a lot of moments of
You had to
rage.
select any language. You had Rajasthan board had a different uh
No,
like
the language
vocational.
was so I had to choose between I think computers and Hindi, and I chose Hindi. Yeah.
Fair enough.
So yeah, because computers required a different dedication.
Yeah.
It's not a language we speak in, right? it's so so yeah. So yeah, I chose Hindi. So that was the only subject choice that was required to be made. But yeah, there were two volumes of math, two books of math were there that had to be done. And then I was doing like two books of math, 11th and 12th in J as well. But Rajasthan board math was really nice. So yeah, that was a moment of high pressure for me. Boards were very bad, very bad. I would used to cry every day, literally cry every day. So that's how it used to be, right? And there's a funny incident that happened, and I look back and laugh at. What used to happen is in every board on every board day, right? Let's say there's a math paper. At the center, there used to be a bunch of kids who used to gather around and make kind of a huddle. And I didn't know what they were doing, right? Because we didn't like we were not conditioned to socialize when you were in Kota. You had to study, come back, study, come back, right? That's how it used to be. So they were huddling, right? So of course I didn't go and strike a conversation, but I was always curious what's happening. Towards the end of my board exam, I decided, okay, let's have a conversation, right? Now that I have to I'm okay breaking character of a good kid writing board exams. I went and I just asked one guy what's happening. So he told that the paper is being leaked. So they used to discuss the paper of that day. And I was like, oh my God, man. So that's how it was, yeah. I remember, I think the chairman of the board had to resign. Yeah, that's
Oh my God.
so yeah. That was at that point. I think I was okay. I was like, okay, cool.
Some of the disadvantages of being an introvert
Yeah,
happens. It happens.
Cool.
So at least I didn't have that amount of pressure. And I think I didn't have that level of upbringing also, like, so that level of competitiveness, and I was not that. Um, at least my ambition stirred up very late in my life, but I had some set of principles that were very weird to me. So even in
Yes,
Mumbai
yeah.
University, we had a lot of leaks. So I've done my mechanical engineering, and a lot of our papers started getting leaked a very specific semester. And
Leaks, you're saying leaks.
yeah, leaks,
Okay.
right? So papers were getting leaked before
Okay.
before 1 day before the paper. And this was again university papers, right? So they would come from different places, and that's how they would get leaked. And some part of my brain would like force myself, no, I'm not. I had the paper next to me, and no,
Okay, I'm not gonna do it.
I don't mind failing, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not
I
doing it.
won't. I won't peek in the leak.
Exactly. I'm going to be that one guy who fails.
Who fails because he did not. He did not peek. Yeah.
But in the examination hall, everything goes.
You know what's funny? I see, the thing is, it's what's funny is that, like I'll tell you why I feel that it's an orchestrated thing to actually get a paper leaked. It's because, so there could be two reasons. One, the people who are making papers are doing it at the last minute. That is causing the leak a day before the exam or on the day of the exam, right? Or it's just orchestrated so that a lot of kids don't cheat and like it becomes like a issue. So I think one of the, so either it's orchestrated or the people who are making papers are like doing it last minute. Why wouldn't a paper leak like 1 week before the exam? Wouldn't it be so convenient?
Like I feel like this would look like a scene from Rocky. I don't know. This is my imagination, but how did it feel like when you found out you are getting into IIT? I can't imagine the elation or relief. I don't know what. I'm just assuming. You tell me.
Oh, so the thing is, my brother was like, my brother also joined IIT, right?
Yep.
He joined IIT Patna, and like every aspirant, JE aspirant, right? Or every IT aspirant, they have a gradation of colleges, right?
Hmm.
And it's like, if you get, like, I'll tell you the equivalence, right? If you get marks in 90s,
Yep.
uh, that's equivalent to getting into an IIT Bombay or an IIT Kanpur during that time, right? And if you get in 80s, maybe the rest of the IITs. That's how
Yep.
it used to be. So yeah, I wasn't elated, not at all, not one bit. I think
Wow.
I didn't give myself due. I just feel like going back in time and giving myself a lot of pats that you did it. But yeah, but I never did it. I never had that moment. Okay, I've joined an IIT, because that's, yeah, that's I would say that's a stolen cloud of sorts.
Wow.
Yeah. But
I
yeah,
can't.
I never felt elated. No, not at all.
I would pat your back if I knew
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I will,
Just
yeah.
out of curiosity, like you might have a friend group at that time, right? Who might also be preparing with you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, was it a common thing? A lot of you all got into IIT, or were you like an anomaly?
So I'll say uh, 75% of the kids in my group, which was a group of four, got into IT. That's how it was. So yeah,
Group
I
of
wouldn't.
four. You're telling me one didn't get in.
Yeah, one. Yeah, very good friend. Very good friend.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
still, yeah. Still, yeah. Very good guy. So
Did
so
he
basically,
become a serial killer?
no. He's sorted. He's sorted.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying. Huh?
Exactly.
The cloud's clear. I
Exactly.
think it happened earlier for him than a lot of us, right?
Ah,
It's like,
yes.
for instance, it's happening now. A lot of things are becoming clearer. Perspective aa raha hai. Acha, that's what it meant. Oh, acha. So that's now happening, right? So for him, it became clearer earlier. So I think, yeah. But yeah, yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I would say it was not a boon to be To be straightforward. Like it was not a boon to have just people who got selected in IIT. It blinds. It's a different blinding film, right? So that's how it was. Yeah.
Let's go back to certain moments.
Mhm.
So I suppose you decide one day, let's pack our bags. Let's go travel far away from home, far away from the comfort zone of my family,
Yeah. Yeah.
and enter the dorm, you enter the campus.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was those early days? How were the early days when I can imagine like everything is different, right? Like people look different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even the I suppose Guwahati is a little bit more cooler. The
Yeah.
temperature is different. The color palette is different.
Yeah.
Everything is
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
How are those early days?
I'll tell you. So even before, so my dad was posted in Nagaland,
Hmm.
right? So he's in a job where he has a cadre to choose, and he chose Nagaland. So he was posted there. So I wasn't like I didn't have that uh, sense of unfamiliarity.
Okay.
I never had that because like having traveled to different location for his work, right?
Right.
I don't think color palette was or like meeting different people was a new thing. I remember uh, one of my very good friends back when I was I think 6 year old or 7 year old Anirudh. He was from Tamil Nadu, so we were in Jodhpur at that time, and we were from UP, right? So it was never like that wasn't like a big issue. I think one of the biggest challenges in the beginning, and that's for everyone who's leaving their home, is leaving the nest, right? So I think that was kind of one of the early challenges, and it's for everyone. What happens is you kind of become like at home you are like in your comfort zone, right? You're pretty much uncharged, right? And when you when you leave your home, that like, that ray of positivity or the some positivity goes, so then you kind of become not negative per se, but you become uncharged, right? You then you start attracting people who are having similar challenges, right? And you make friends. So I think it's because of that that nest wala feeling that goes missing when you join, like when you leave your home. I think at that time, like of course at that moment it's very difficult, right? You miss your parents, you can't call them because you were not really the best of yourself with them all your life, right? And you can't call them and tell them I'm missing you, right? So you're especially because you're like I was not conditioned that way, telling parents, calling them, and neither my parents, maybe my mom, but my dad wouldn't be, right? If I call him and tell him I miss you, okay, he'll be like, okay, cool. So anyhow, so yeah, so that was one way of doing it, right? Call them, tell them you miss them, right? And then them telling them, okay, don't worry, we'll figure things out. And then the second thing was you meet these crazy people who are like having the similar problems at that time, missing home, right? And you form the strongest of the bonds. That's what happened with me, and that's what happened with a lot of us. Even right now, uh, the first few friends that I made in IIT Guwahati are my best friends. They are in Hyderabad, coincidentally, right? And we are very close. So I think the closeness of friendship is by whether you are how many WhatsApp groups you are commonly a part of, mutually a part of. So yeah, we are a part of a lot of WhatsApp groups of very close individuals, like 6, 7 people in group. So we are very tight. So that's what happened, yeah. I think, and then they all of us raised each other together over those 4 years and became what we were when we graduated.
I can see the parallels. So
Yeah.
we also
What about
joined
you?
White
What
Hat.
about you?
We joined
Yeah,
White Hat at the
exactly.
same day.
Yeah. We joined Whitehead at the same day. I remember. Yeah, I remember you asking, "What's your exit?" Like, and I was like, I was, I was, I was actually reminded. I didn't tell you this before, but I was reminded of Have you seen Born Identity?
Oh, no.
It's a very nice movie. Matt Damon's.
The entire Bone films
You've
I
not
haven't
seen.
watched. Yeah.
It's a nice movie. So the thing is that what happens is, so Matt Damon loses his memory in the beginning. That's why it's called Born Identity. He doesn't
Yep.
know his identity. So he he mentions a fellow passenger that I don't know why, but I can see there are 5 ways to exit this place. Those are the things that are catching my attention. That's what I was reminded of. So this guy is a Jason Bourne of sorts. He's asking me what's your what's your exit strategy. Do you remember this?
I
Asking me
know.
what I was completely taken aback. Even if I had thought about my exit strategies, no way I'm going to tell tell someone.
I recently was watching. I'm a big fan of Conan O'Brien. I don't know if you.
Yeah. Whatever,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a American talk show
Talk
host.
show was,
So,
yeah.
and famously, he is from Harvard. He's done his majors in
Yeah,
history,
yeah.
and he once mentioned how being in Harvard or studying in Harvard, where, whilst initially was a challenge because you're intimidated, eventually it wasn't as difficult as he thought. And he felt like this is pretty much how every other college would be like. But for someone from the outside, it sounds a little different. Like it feels like once you're in IIT, it's just the start of a difficult journey. Just out of curiosity, was life in IIT as difficult or less difficult than you prepping for getting into IIT? Was it or was it the same?
Oh, preparation was very tough
Oh,
compared to, yeah, because there were a lot of agreements that were made. Okay, nahi padenge ye. That was made during the college. Okay, we'll all not read it. Relative grade hai, everyone will get this, right? So there was this unwritten agreement that people had. Okay, that ten guy, let him read. We'll all. So yeah, that used to happen. There was a lot of there was a lot of
that is
leveling that used to
crazy.
happen. Yeah. So that used to happen, and I think not at all. But it was tough for sure, but not because of academics. No, I think academics was like very comfortable. Chemical engineering is a good department.
Hmm.
You can score well, and yeah, it wasn't tough. It's not tough at all. There are a few departments that are very tough, right? For example, maths and computing is very tough, and computer science also, especially for
Hmm.
folks who have not been exposed. Again, the compounding thing, right? If
Yep.
you've not coded before, for you it's a new language altogether. But
Yep.
there are so many people and huge respect for them, right? That they learn that language, not only learn it, excel it, and right now they are like making the best products that they're using,
Yep.
right? So I think that like those would be very tough. I think, but I think in chemical engineering there was a lot of collaboration, a lot of collaboration.
Wow. Once you graduated, so in 2014 you graduated, right? Um, or before, even before you graduated, did you have any plans after graduation? Were you dead set on, okay, I want to get into or do my master's or wanted to join a particular organization? Was there anything in mind?
Not not any particular organization as such. Get a job, yes, right? Get some sort of financial independence for sure. And I wanted to test chemical engineering, the waters. No, I had studied, I had scored okay, right? I had gotten like okay grades, like not bad, not great, right? But good grades. So
Hmm.
so I got that, and so I wanted to just test it. So my immediate thing was, okay, I'll join a company that that has an application of chemical engineering in it. So I think I sat for, I think, two or three. I think I sat for three companies. Third being the company that got me this my first job. So yeah, that's how it was. I was very sincerely willing to give chemical engineering a chance. That's what it was.
I'm more curious about your extracurriculars. While you were in IIT, did you have
Yeah.
any extracurriculars?
I did. I started playing squash in
Hmm.
IIT. That was the first time I lifted a racket, and um, I love playing squash. Even right now, like at times I go book a court and play squash. And I always had music. Always had music. I picked up the guitar for the first time in IIT Guwahati.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
picked up the guitar for the first time. But singing I used to do even before that. And but yeah, I think those were the extracurriculars. I did play a mom in a drama. I was a huge, yeah, I was a in my first year. I played a mom. I didn't like play a mom. I played character of a mom in a drama, and it was very interesting. No one was agreeing to become a mom when the casting was being done. Right, no one was agreeing to become mom, and I was like, I'll become the mom. That was like an entry barrier for me because I had not gotten into drama at that point. There was some other people who were like auditioned and they were taken, and I was not taken. So, and then this opportunity came for me. There's no one who is
What was the
willingly
play
taking.
about? Was like a Chekhov or
Yeah,
something?
no, it was a very interesting play. It was a very serious play as well. The topic was like there's a couple who has I think four kids and they're not well to do and they have to sell, sell their kid. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but yeah, I'll tell you why I'm laughing. I'm laughing because I was a mom who was selling her kid.
you're you're
Yeah,
selling.
yeah, and my very good friend was buying. So that's he's a very good friend right now. He's a very good friend, and he was. There's this scene where he's like consoling me, ki behan. The advantage was that both of us had like this gungat. So on the theater, he was saying, "बहन आज तुम्हारी वजह से मेरे को माँ बनने का सुख प्राप्त हुआ," and I was like laughing on the stage. So yeah, that was. But I think it was a very nice play. It was a social commentary on privilege and money and the social divide. We didn't have that like insight back then,
Yeah.
right? So we were like, I don't know whether the judge got it or not that the mother is selling the kid and laughing on the stage, but I think we came second. Yeah, it was written really well.
Now this
That's
is etched in memory. I'm going to always see you as a mother only.
Yeah. Always good to be seen as a mother. No?
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's
Cool.
let's shift gears and take a step away from IIT and let's go to, I guess, the professional side of your life, right? You, you graduated and then you pretty much immediately joined Reliance Industries uh, as an engineer, I suppose, and you worked for 3 years, somewhere close to 3 years there.
Yeah. 2.5 years.
But
Mm.
but you then decided to take a sharp left, a strong, hard left into
Mhm.
content.
Yeah.
Why?
So during colleges, it kind of started during college. I was like, I had a lot of time in my hands also, right? So I started watching movies.
Hmm.
So I like just fell in love with movies, right? And then movies exposed me to a lot of things in the society, right? And literature also. A lot of movies are visual literature, right? So that's what started like planting this idea of what if I write a story, right? And I remember even during summer vacations when we used to get together in our house, I used to I used to narrate stories to my brother and crazy stories, right? Heist stories and all. So he used to listen patiently in the beginning and then gradually started writing me off. So yeah, that's when it
Nice.
started. I wanted to, create, I wanted to write, like writing being subset of creation, right? So I was very much interested in creation, and I had also I had done an original composition in college too, in first year itself. So every band had to do an original composition. It was called the OC round. So yeah, I had done an OC even then. So I was like always drawn to creation and writing, like like English being a language that I was taught since the childhood, right? Writing was the path. Always look for open doors,
Hmm.
right? So that was an open door for me. So when I was with Reliance, like 1 year, 1.5, 2 years, somewhere between 1 and 2 years, I started thinking that like there are a lot of things that are not safe, right, in the industry, in the chemical industry, right? We had to go to the plants, and they were like it was very, very dangerous at times too. So I decided,
Elaborate, just out of curiosity.
as in there are like vessels that are at very high pressure and
Like
very high temperature.
atmospheric pressure you're talking about.
Not the atmospheric pressure, but the vessels. Like the pressure is inside, but
Okay.
but once the layers of production give way, anything can happen. Like I saw a lot of videos. Like they were in the safety trainings, we were shown videos of uh, industries just exploding. You should check out. There's I think a BP refinery, Mexico explosion. It was crazy, crazy, right? It was a blast. So it was very scary, right? So that was the reason. Safety was the reason. That was first
Wow.
reason. The other reason was that I was drawn to creation again, right? And I started writing between 1 and 2 years. And it was during this time I decided, okay, gradually start shifting. And then I had decided to take a break. And when I took a break, I did some writing and then moved to content. But that writing was the door. Interestingly, it was during that time I had also like posted things on a blog. Yeah, so that was pretty much the deal breaker for me in my next job, for getting out to the next job.
So in 2017, you moved to upgrad,
Yeah,
and I don't know how big of a turn this was, but you seem to switch to education to some extent, right? I don't
yeah,
know
yeah,
how similar or how much synergy is there between content and education, but
yeah.
what was the impetus to do that, to get a little bit deeper into education?
Yeah, it was again and like to be so one reason I had shifted to upgrad was because it was an opportunity at that time. For someone who had just started content, it was a definite opportunity. That was one reason. The second reason was, so while I was doing this writing stint, right, while parallelly working with Reliance, I landed on an essay on alternative education. Because I think one of the articles that I wrote was education, I think different education models. So there, while researching for that, so I used to put a lot of research in my articles, right? So which I used to enjoy. So I landed upon this thing called alternative education, and then it was wonderful, right? When I read through it and I realized that how things think how there's so many things that need to be fixed. So education is something, I think empathy is, you don't need to be a teacher to join education. I think the biggest thing that you need is empathy. And I think empathy is like one of my biggest strengths. Even back then and right now even more. Right. So uh you start becoming more empathetic or less empathetic as you grow up. You can't be the same amount of empathetic throughout your life. So yeah, lucky for me, I became more empathetic, right? And I think that was the other reason, having the empathy for towards the learners that kind of played out well for me. So yeah, opportunity was one, and then I was drawn to education.
So we've kind of covered two-thirds of your life up till now to some extent, at least
Yeah,
in my eyes.
not my life,
And
man. 2/3 of my, oh yeah, up till now,
up
yes.
till
Yeah,
I'm
I
not going to
just,
comment on that.
yeah, either way.
But at the end of the podcast, I'll take a small little quick fire round. But at least for now, up till
Yeah,
now, you've accomplished a decent amount, right? For an average uh, person in India, accomplishing what you've accomplished is quite a decent amount.
Okay,
What are
thanks.
you most proud of out of everything that you've done up till now?
Hmm. What am I most proud of? I think, yeah, I'm proud. So what ends up happening, um, a pride from something that has happened in past doesn't always bring you happiness, right? So so people end up. I at a lot of times have ended up thinking maybe I'm not proud of it because I don't feel happy about that achievement that happened, right? But I think if I look at feeling proud at that moment for that kid who achieved it, I think that kind of makes you feel you know wanting to pat them at the
You're
back.
the
So
coach.
Jay, yeah, exactly. So Jay being one of them. Jay is cracking Jay is one thing that I'm proud of,
Hmm.
right? And being able to pick a sport in college, and I later captained the team as well, and that's something that I'm proud of. I think that was the highest moment for me when I like there was a match between IIT Delhi and IIT Guwahati, and we beat them. That was a big moment in squash. So yeah, that's something that I'm proud of. Um I'm proud of Dastoor. I'm proud of Zindagi Kamini, the songs that I've written.
I'm
I'm
going to come to that.
definitely proud of them. Um yeah, I think there are a lot of little things also that that
I thought
a
you'll
lot of
mention
choices,
me.
a
Thought
lot of choices.
you'll mention a friendship, something like
A lot of yeah, that's why
that.
I'm coming. That's what I meant. When I said little thing, I meant I meant a big thing.
Asshole.
But yeah, a lot of choices I've made. Yeah, the friends that I've like, I don't know. I just happened for some reason. I just happen to have the best of the friends. That's something that is. I feel that you know, the friends who are your friends, who are in your social circle, are very much a result of consequence of the choices that you make.
Hmm.
I think I've made a lot of right choices. I have a great social circle. Like I have a set of some great friends. You included, of course.
Cheers to that. Cheers to that.
Yeah. So I'm proud of that. Yeah. Yeah. I think
Nice.
there are a lot of things that I'll not change. That's what we are proud of.
I think after at least hmm, your professional side of things, I think there's another side to you that recently only have I seen
Yeah.
emerge out, and I'm seeing this from a distance, like um, but
Yeah.
in all these years, I've noticed that you've always been interested, always shown love for music as well as songwriting,
Yeah.
and as far as I understand, it's been quite a while since you've been writing your own songs. Um,
Right, that's
but
right.
but when did this emerge? This innate need to write your own songs and this innate need to understand music. When did this emerge? Truly emerge, according to you?
Yeah. So, like I said, music. When I was like 5, 6 year old, my mom taught me this beautiful song by Mukesh called "Jeena Isi Ka Naam Hai." I
Hmm.
just love that song. The older you get, the more you appreciate that song. So anyhow, so that was my first rendezvous with music. And yeah, after that, in the beginning, it used to be for people, you know, like singing songs for people. They tell them a song, I'll start learning that song and then sing it. But if you were to ask me when it truly happened, I think left Reliance, it was of course process. It was like a volcano that was waiting to erupt, right? That's what it was. And when did it erupt? I would say
That's what she said.
it or
Sorry.
he said.
Or he said.
Or he said. But yeah, so yeah, I think it happened in 2017 when I had left my job from Reliance. It was a huge step. In our entire family, extended as much as no one had left jobs. They just gotten jobs.
Same. Same.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I was like, and the thing is, it was very difficult convincing everyone, right? Thankfully, I didn't have to convince a lot of people.
Hmm.
Like closest folks closest to me, I had to talk to them, tell them. It was my responsibility. So I think somewhere during that time, and then I was staying in Mumbai. In
Hmm.
Mumbai, if you are not having a job, you very soon will not have a home.
Right.
That's how it is, right? So
Agree.
that I think that just brought a lot of creativity out of me, right?
Yeah. Makes
And yeah,
sense. So that's when you started taking music seriously?
I yeah, in fact, I started taking music seriously when I was in Reliance. And
Hmm.
so for the year, I would say 2016, right? I was learning Hindustani vocals at Shankar Madhavan Academy.
Hmm.
So Reliance offered me that time, time in the day where I could study Hindustani vocals. I had never learned before that for all my life. Like being as much as I was into music, or I used to think I was in music, I had never learned it, right? And you're not born with the pitch perfection. You have to attain it, right? And ideally do it as early as possible. That's true for anything, right? You want to become pitch perfect in math, you start right away. So anyhow, so I started. So that's when I would say I became serious. I started learning music, but not as a singer-songwriter. I think first song I wrote was in 2017, but I think the first song that I've released, like the song that was released, right, Dastoor, that was written in I think 2019.
Oh.
I think Whitehead Junior was a boon in that, right? There was a lot of sync, right?
Yeah.
That there's a lot of creativity that goes into creating products that kids will enjoy.
Yep.
I'm telling you, like people who think kids are the like easiest audience to, you know, uh, I would say teach maybe, right?
Yep.
And maybe not teach, but people who think
Please.
that I wouldn't say please. I wouldn't use the term please. But yeah, what I mean is yeah,
Or
like
understand?
make not really understand. They are very tough there, but people
Hmm.
who think like they can just have easiest audience to have fun with,
Right.
right? To enjoy time with, right? It's like when it comes to do it responsibility and as a part of your job, it's not easy. There's a lot of creativity, right?
Yep.
And I think that my day in office trying to be creative, insanely walking like a zombie, trying to think. People people at times is staring at me as well. Like, what happened with this guy? He's just to and fro, right? Without any reason. So it brought a lot of creativity to the surface. And I think it was during that time that I wrote my song that I played on a guitar. So I would say that was the first time I composed a song.
Wow.
First song that I wrote was not on a guitar. I just melodically, it was a very vocal thing. But there's a song. It doesn't. I called it a cliche song because it had a very cliche, catchy tune and very cliche lyrics. So that I would say in 2019, September,
Oh.
October. So yeah, October.
Before I get to a question that's popped in my mind,
Yeah,
um, how now that you've taken music seriously or taking music seriously, how often do you practice
practice every day.
and how long?
Uh, Half an hour to 45 minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah. So there's like serious practice of Hindustani vocals or Western vocals.
Got it.
There's like
Got it.
serious uninterrupted practice. I do it in the mornings.
What about this is completely, I have no idea how this works, but what's the process of making a song? Like if you had to distill it down into steps, into almost like a computer generated sequence of activities.
Mm. Process of writing a song. I would say it takes a lot of modeling,
Hmm.
right? With this, with whatever instrument you play, and it takes a lot of meaningless humming, right? Uh, so, for instance, it takes a lot of listening to music. Takes a lot of. I'm not making steps right now. I'm not telling the steps, but a lot of what combines together. 5 rings in Captain Planet. That's if I were to say, right. A lot of listening, right. A lot of noodling. A lot of when I say noodling, you have to kill your darlings. Like
Hmm.
I think Stephen King says, right. Kill
Hmm.
your darlings. So you have to do a lot of that. A lot of for me, a lot of my songs come vocally first and then get into guitar.
Hmm.
So you have to like meaningless humming. You could still call it like noodling with your instrument, right?
Hmm.
And I would say a lot of for me a lot of reading, a lot of reading. I think all my songs have somehow emanated from a book I've read.
Oh,
Something to do with it, yeah.
but doesn't it start with like an experience? From the outside again, it feels like experiences sort of govern your songwriting ability. I don't know. Is that the case or
Experiences, not experiences. I would say maybe feeling. And
okay?
feeling essentially is the tangible thing out of any experience, right? So you
Hmm.
have an experience, but that experience is out of you. The feeling
Hmm.
that you have is inside you, right? So yeah, feeling yes, feelings yes, but I think the structure of it or the words of it, right? It's very weird actually. I remember so just to give you a very funny instance, right? I've not like I just have a hypothesis from there. There's no rejection of that hypothesis yet, right? But I have this hypothesis that if you have when you have an intense feeling, no, any intense feeling, it could be intense sorrow, intense anger, intense uh, happiness, right? That's when you tend to get very creative. So, and it's not like if you're very happy, you write a very happy song. No, if you're very angry, you might write a very good positive love song. That's what happened with me. Once I was very angry, and I started playing the guitar, and then it started here. All of a sudden, it came to me, and I went to the guitar and started playing it, and that ended up to be a love song.
Wow.
But I was the feeling that I was having. Maybe it's to do with what pacifies that feeling.
Yep.
But yeah, anyhow, so yeah, it does have to do with feeling. I think empathy goes there as well because the song when you have
Wow.
to write a song, right? You can't always write a song about you. For example, the moment I think about writing a song from just my perspective, right, or something that I have felt, I would just get limited to those 4 kids who are preparing for JEE out of 3 qualified, right? That's what ends up because you're heavily blinded, but by what you experience, which is very limiting.
Hmm,
So
that makes sense.
for that reason, you have to have this, a window that keeps giving you a view of something that doesn't belong to you, right?
Wow. That's where reading and all comes in.
Reading comes, movies come, and still make you feel like, ah, just wow. You know, for instance, we watched Joker together, shook us,
Yeah.
but nothing of that movie is. It's like it took us to the cosmos, right? I was having this conversation recently where with a friend that world essentially divides us and cosmos unites us. So
Hmm.
it took us like good art is about that. You get a peek into that cosmos where
Hmm.
you can all relate. So I think that's very important. Those windows into cosmos, those windows into someone else's life, not not prying, not like
Yeah.
building my window, but yeah, it's
I
very important.
recently, yeah, I think you already know this. I've been working on some product that is based
Yeah, yeah,
on therapy, right?
yeah, yeah.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mental health,
Yeah,
around
mental
mental,
health.
yeah.
And a big part of therapy seems to rely on core beliefs. Core beliefs might not be on the surface, it might be anger, it might be
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
prejudice,
Correct.
but
Correct, correct.
those core beliefs really expand as you learn more about things around you. And then once you're exposed to that core belief, it brings out emotion, but it also centers you to some
Yeah, it
extent.
does. You start thinking about what you're doing.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. You become
And
very aware, self-aware. You become very
correct,
self-aware. Yeah.
correct. You become very self-aware. And
Yeah.
music, like I'm seeing music writing also through you as that. Like there is a lot of self-awareness that you're gaining as you're reading more, and as you're understanding more. It is exposing your core beliefs through the music also.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For sure,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
And I wanted to get to this. So before that, you a year back you released your first song,
Yeah, yeah.
Dastoor.
दस्तूर सुने हैं
Yes.
It's a beautiful song. It is
Yeah.
truly a beautiful song. It's a there's simplicity to it. So
Yeah.
before me telling what the song is about, I think viewers, the 4 viewers who are watching, would would like to. I think they would like to know what the song is about.
Yeah. So the stool, I would say very much, the test that you mentioned about a feeling, right? It was, you know, it is very much grounded there, right? Very much rooted there, right? The tree that the stool is comes from, the idea was the choices that you make, right? That are not given to you. That's what the stool is, right? And that can be anything, right? For instance, a book that you read, right? Or for instance, someone going for arts, a doctor's kid or an engineer's kid, being told that they have to do this, and they taking a detour from traditional studying medicine or studying engineering and studying arts. So that's what it is about. And for me, it was pretty much that, right? Because the tour is essentially the beginning. It's essentially began with this interview, right? Where we had talked about math, J, right? And being an engineer, right? And then, actually going ahead and taking music seriously, right? It comes with a lot of responsibility. It's not very carefree, following a dream. So that's what it is, yeah. It's about being first being brave enough to follow your dreams, right? And it's going to be a lose-lose situation. It's going to be a win-lose situation if you don't follow your dreams. So to avoid yourself, be brave enough to follow your dreams, follow what you're passionate about, take responsibility of your life, because you'll be pissing off a lot of people, right? For better or not, right? You'll be pissing off a lot of people. So you have to take responsibility as well, right? You don't want a lot of people telling you, I told you so, right? You don't want people standing with a placard. And then the third thing is accountability of whatever, or all of this clubs together form the school. And so that's the first part. Dreams is the first part. The second part is relationships, any relationship, right? Just because there's a lot of, I don't know, maybe it will sound uh, very surface thing, right, to say it, but I think gossiping is a. I recently was listening to someone. I don't remember who it was, but they said that gossiping is a channel of anger, just like violence is a dark suppressed. So I think so. What I mean to say is that gossiping is a very bad bad culture. It's very addictive, right? And if you remember, there are lines ki uh, कही सुनी बातों की खातिर रिश्तों की जमीन ना बांटो नहीं. That's what it means, right? Just because like someone tells, okay, this guy said this guy said that, oh, this guy did this, No, that's even if they're telling the truth, right? You have to examine it with your lens. You have to, like, and of course, it could be really bad. Something like, जैसे someone said कि किसी ने किसी का murder कर दिया, right? That's bad. But you still examine it, right? To have the courage. So it's a request to still have the courage. Even if it is as bad as murder. So that's what Dastur is about. I think I spoke about Dastur more than the length of the song.
But
Yeah,
it is a very beautiful song. It's
thanks.
beautifully sung,
Thanks.
and it is it is an unexplored territory. So that shows your songwriting capabilities. That's what I saw. Um, you release the first song. How has the response been? How was for before that? How did it feel? Like, because you're sharing something
Wonderful.
outward, right? You're
It
sharing your
felt
core belief outward.
it felt wonderful. It felt so good. I'll tell you, right? I usually never never talk about my happy feelings a lot, right? But I remember the first time I had got the master of the song, and the first time I heard it, I just had this realization, and I was like, "Oh, this is like." I was levitating. It was almost like levitating, right? I was seeing myself being very happy. That's what levitating is, right? You can see yourself in the air. So that's what happened. It comes nothing short of levitating. I was really happy. Like
Wow.
even before release, the realization. See, the thing is when it's released, right? It again becomes a work. You have to tell people about the song. That's why it's
Yeah.
very important, right? Whoever is listening, it's very important to share anything that you've discovered, especially if you feel that there's something that you've discovered. How do you decide it? Just check the number of people who've watched it, seen it, right? If
Yep.
you feel there's something that you just love, I think it's very easy to share it right now.
Yep.
I think you should do it because that's the biggest part of releasing a song, releasing any art form, distribution. That's why the publishing
That
companies.
really is tough, and it
Yeah,
it is tough. So anyway, if
it felt very good, very
I'm
good.
going to put a link to Akash's YouTube channel and Spotify. I really do think everyone should listen to it
Thanks,
because
thanks, man.
it is uh, again, even with this song, I think I remember me being thoda critical. I was a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
critical, but uh, it I guess it comes from a place of wanting to see you do well.
yeah.
So recently, you've released your second song, "Zindagi Ka Meaning,"
जिंदगी का मीनी भी है अगर तो
Yeah.
and like just like Dastur, again, it touches upon something that's not super explored, right?
Yeah.
With Could you elaborate on the song?
Yeah, 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 for sure. So it's the song is like what I said, now taking responsibility of the life that you have. It's a lot to do with that. And the thing is that it's like elaborating on that life. Taking responsibility on that life, double click, Zindagi, community, right? That's what it is. So Zindagi is like a lot of times we are asked, Kaise ho, how are you? How's life? How's Zindagi? Mostly we say fine, right? Like, it's not true. A lot of time it's not true. And of course, I'm not expecting, and no one is expecting, like you going every time someone asks how's life, I'm not expecting that. Oh, it's very bad. No, it's not like that. It's just that making it better is essentially your responsibility. And you're blessed, right? Especially if you're getting to listen to this song, you're just blessed in a lot of ways,
Yep.
right? And I think just give it a chance. No, that's how it is, right? If you miss a ball in cricket, right, you just don't give up, right? You give it a chance, and it's your responsibility to understand like what went wrong. You reverse engineer it, and the thing is, no one will come and tell you. The truth is that no one, like, just to give you an example, as a kid or even especially as an adult as well, right? If you just slip or fall physically, I can bet you that most of the people in the room will laugh. people having the best interest, people doing the things in your interest, like things in your best interest, they'll still love, because that's where the instinct kind of, that's the instinct, right? So similarly, when you are in a difficult situation, you know, a, a troublesome garland has been, put on you, or you've been forced to wear that, you are going to have to take it out.
Hmm.
People can just advise you, but like, people even with the best interest of mind, of like best interest, uh people having the your best interest in their minds, they can only do
So
so
much.
much. Yeah,
So much. That's
right.
true.
So it's your responsibility, and yeah, I think that's what Zindagi Kamini is about. It's a lot of people reached out to me saying ki, uh, people who like the song as well, why Zindagi Kamini? That was a fair question to ask. I myself asked that question. I was, when I earlier the song's name was going to be Zindagi. In fact, when I go back and check the files, in the process, the first draft, second draft, it used to be called Zindagi. And at some point the draft name changed. So yeah, I had also myself thought about it. But it's not a negative song. It's just a double click. I think Zindagi Kamini is just for an audience, for a set
Hmm.
of audience, right? There would be a lot of people, just not opening it.
But uh, I think self care is not heavily explored, especially in music today. I think because we live very outward lives, so it's a mostly tends to be an outward relationship. I think
Output as in,
as in your responsibility to your spouse, your responsibility to
yeah,
your
for
mom,
sure, for sure,
and
for sure.
especially mothers, right? You've been a
Yeah,
mother, you
yeah.
know.
And your younger siblings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So out of the blue responsibilities. Now you're responsible for this kid's success too. Yeah, yeah, even that. So yeah. It's a very outward thing. That's very right. Very well put.
And about the second song, so the second, my I felt like the second song was catchy. Again, I'm going to play a part of the song as we have the interview, right? So I
Yeah.
felt like the second song was catchy, but I still like the first song for its simplicity. And I don't really know how do you gauge a good song or a bad song. Do you have any thoughts on when do you know that a song, okay, this is the point. I think this is perfect. It's refined. Let's put it out. Is there a point like I recently spoke to a UI UX designer, right? So his outward thought was you can only do so much, and then put it out, take a look at the data, and then refine it. He has the luxury to refine user experiences, right? But I think a songwriter doesn't have that. Once the song is out, the song is out. How do you
But there are
approach?
there are drafts. There are drafts to the song,
Hmm?
and a songwriter is like a director of the song.
Or not just song writing, but
Hmm.
producing itself, like the
Even
end
even
result.
the yeah. So what I'm saying is, see, I'll tell you, right. Something beautiful comes to your mind, comes to your head, comes to your brain, right? And you want to present it, right, as it is. It's very tough. For example, the way we see moon, we can't really take a printout of it, because like the power of telescopy that it takes, or I don't think there are a lot of cameras, a lot of affordable cameras that can pick the moon as we see it, right? So that's how it is. Like you have this, similarly, you have this story in your mind, right? You have
Hmm.
these words, you have these chords, right? You have this feeling, right? So, for instance, for me, Dastur was like I was sitting in a balcony. There was a construction happening, right? In the front, there was a bird chirping somewhere, and it was very hot. And this, someone told me that God sit in your mind the day that you realize, okay, this song can be released. So yeah, that happened. Now I want that experience, like to reach as many audience as possible in its purest form. But when it
Hmm.
changes hands, no, it kind of becomes distant, and at times it can elevate as well, right? It
Hmm.
can become distant as well. So we have to ensure that the vision, that feeling that, keep going back to that feeling that you had, right? Which you felt that people might enjoy listening to, right? Something relatable, that is something that they can revisit from their life, right? And
How do you do that? Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah, so the thing is that one of the biggest processes, the biggest challenges to making sure is that for example, when you're onboarded a producer, right? They're good. They're almost always good. So what they're going to send is not going to be crap, but it's going to be a different thing. It can be a different thing, right? Now you have to take a call whether you're fine with this different thing, which is like maybe 2 meters away or 2 degrees away from what you had in mind, right? Or not. For example, in the Sur itself, when I remember that I think it was a last but one draft, I heard it and I was like, it gives me a beachy vibe. But right now, this one is a very mountainy vibe, right? That's what I wanted. I want a mountainy vibe. It gives me a very beachy vibe. It's like this is a song that I would listen to when I'm at the beach, right? And there's like breeze coming, and there are waves coming, right? And mountain is a different thing, no? You have a different humiliating experience there, right? So yeah, I think that's what it's a very personal unconscious thing. And the thing is that I also test, I also A/B test my songs. Right? I share drafts of the songs with people who will be very honest with me.
for people who don't know A/B test, you send one song or one version of the song to a set of people and another version, and then check or
Yeah.
compare the results from the two.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Correct.
Okay.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's something that I have to do because see, for me, had it not been like had I not been, thinking about money, let's consider that there's nothing called money, right? Even if the song is touching one individual, it's great. It's just, it's like I'm able to give one person that peek into the cosmos, right? I had a peek in that cosmos, that song came to me, and then I'm able to tell that guy, okay,
Wow.
just look at that, right? And that guy is like, yeah, that's a good thing. That's all. That's what success is. But when it comes at a time like this, where you just fizzle out, right? Where unfortunately people are crazed about ratings, people are crazed about uh, rankings, views. There's so many numbers, right? People don't realize that while you are abusing the mark system that used to be in schools, the salary numbers right now, the views on the YouTube are all that exactly the same thing being spoon fed to you, and it's going to come. At a time, there's going to be a time when people will start saying no to views. But right now, it's unfortunately that's not the time. So for example, when I send a song to someone, right, I've not talked to, whatever reason, we grew distant, but I still want them to listen to my song. If they send something to me, for example, if they send something to me, just to vote, right? I'll check out if I like it and vote. So if I send it to them, they would not watch it. Most likely, they're not going to, even if like first is they're not going to see the message. But if they see the message, they might not still watch it. They will still not watch it. But if you see that there's like 100K views, if this person has hit 100K views, people are going to watch it. That's what it is, right? So yeah, I think that part of success is still not. It's still there. Even as much
But
as you like not to be, but yeah, that's how it is. Yeah.
quite enlightening. How has the response been on the second song?
It's very good. Very good. Of course, like there are people who see it's like people comparing kids. Oh, I do. छोटा वाला अच्छा है यार, छोटा वाला cute है, ये बड़ा वाला बड़ा. There are people who have compared जिंदगी कमीनी and दस्तूर. It's fine. I'll tell you why it's fine, because you've you've given them both a chance. That's all that matters for an artist, right? For me, I don't want people to like my song. I want people to listen to my song. That's it. That's it. For them to like my song, I think it's my responsibility. I have to, once it is released, it's no longer my interest whether they like my song or not. Right? It's like it's more to do with them seeing my song. Before the release, it's of my interest to make sure that people
You
like it.
said
Yeah.
something verbatim. I listened to an interview, John Mayer interview, and he verbatim said what you said. I don't want to, or I don't think he said I want to.
Mhm.
I guess he said it was an interview at Oxford, I think, at Oxbridge, somewhere there. And he says, or I don't want to create songs that are popular, that are liked, that are viewed. My first goal is to create something that is listenable.
Yeah.
And I thought about it, and it reflects in his songs. Like you can listen to his songs, and it sounds
Yeah.
like he's made it exactly.
Made such great songs. I think we can have one podcast on just John Mayer, like vibing on John Mayer songs, just listening to the song and sharing our interpretations of the lyric.
What
He's a brilliant songwriter.
that might get more views than what we are doing right now.
Yeah. That would, yeah.
But I I understand the sentiment and all. I think if he's doing it and he's built a career like where like it's very clear that his songs are heard not for the views, but like it is a vibe in itself. Like
Yeah.
it is an emotion
That's
itself.
that's I think how you build a cult
Hmm.
following. You know, in a very positive sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you are just caring about views, now you would start ending up to you'd end up losing a lot of listeners
Yeah.
who enjoyed your songs in the beginning.
Oh.
So I think that's why there would either be someone who has heard of John Mayer and there would be someone who just loves John Mayer,
Yeah.
right?
Wow. This was
John Mayer is
amazing. Let's let me ask you for advice. So
Mm.
a lot of kids today are looking for a life and a career that's that's centered around impact, like building an impact in the society, and like very purposeful. They're like kids today are very purposeful. What advice would you give them with regards to career, right? How can they have an impact in their career, and how can they do work that they are proud of?
Got it. So one thing that I'd like to tell everyone, right? Not only the kids but anyone, stay very close to a place, your pot of love. Stay very close to it. You are going to need it more than money. Keep love closer to you. Always keep love closer to you, right? Of course, money is important, but love, the people who love you, keep them around you. Never let them go, right? Or at least try not to let them go, right? Keep them close at least. That's one thing, right? Second is, of course, like don't like keep working on the impact, like the impact that you are trying to create. Keep working on that. As long as, like, of course, you're not going to hurt someone, right? I mean, like even think of the consequences.
Yeah.
I feel that consequences, like if I were to become like a nagging adult for the kids today, it would be like care more about consequences. Right? Maybe that's something that, like, otherwise I would just be giving them advice, which they are already doing, right? I would just maybe, yeah, care about consequences more. And just keep doing, yeah. Keep showing up every day. Keep showing up every day. I think that's very important. That's something we are not taught in schools. I don't know why. It's very important. I think people say it a lot,
Yeah.
right? People say it a lot in uh, phrases and proverbs. But I feel that it's keep showing up every day is very important.
Compounding does help. Like
Yeah, it does.
it's very it doesn't show signs early, but when it
What
does,
would your advice be to kids?
I I found my stride when I found purpose in life. Like when I saw I could be of use to another person. Like something I made ended up being useful to someone else.
Yeah.
That was an emotion I didn't know in school or in college or in university for that matter. At best, it was entertainment. Like I would make someone laugh and they would laugh. That was the
Even that
limit
was
to,
good, no?
yeah, and
That
even
became
that was
entertainment. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
But in a professional setting, I didn't know that. So, and everyone has the capacity. I truly do believe. And if everyone thought of it like that, right? I could make something, or if I could do something to be useful to someone, I then I think the world would be a better place because it would be much more collaborative. And second, it seems to me that there is like a direct proportionality. You make the money based on the impact you have, like the amount of impact you
Yeah,
have
yeah. Correct, correct, correct.
based on the money. So,
Correct.
so
I
it,
think
it becomes
impact is always here. And money follows it. That's right.
yep, yep. So if you focus on the outward um, ability to be helpful to others, whether it's for a doctor, it might be a small number but a big impact.
Yeah.
For a programmer, it would be a small impact but a large number.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if 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 the or if the product of these two variables is high, then you're bound to make
Then
money.
you, yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct.
Exactly. Then it becomes secondary also. Money becomes secondary,
Yeah.
but that takes time.
One
And
more
that
advice, yeah, maybe one more advice that I'd like to give is be fair to yourself. Just be fair. I think where you come from, be cognizant. If you come from a middle class family, you can't, you would be devoid of a lot of advantages. You know, lower. Of course, I thing is even the classification. I don't really believe in that classification, but it is what it is, right? Yeah.
yep.
So be cognizant of that and know that you couldn't do it not because you are incapable of in some way, but it's just maybe it'll
That is
take more
so
time
true.
for you.
It's so true. It's so true. And it is very ignorant of me itself. Like if I expect others to do great things when the surrounding, the upbringing or the surrounding that they are living in isn't conducive for it. They
Yeah, yeah, correct.
already have an uphill battle. Like it is extremely difficult. It is possible, but it's extremely
It'll
difficult.
take more time and more
Exactly.
effort, but then
Extremely.
you would feel more joy when you
Yeah,
get it. That
I
compared to people who have a lesser uphill path, no?
yeah.
So yeah,
And
just
I'm happy that you at least found that joy when the first song got released. Because listening to your
yeah, yeah,
Guwahati
I
IIT
was
story,
I was really happy, man. Really happy.
this conversation has been, you know what? I know you for so long, but I know you so much better. I know
Yeah.
I had no, I guess this is filling in so much of the gaps about you that I feel like I am a childhood friend. You are my childhood friend.
Yeah. I think that's true. Yeah, when you were even when you were talking about we joined Byted Junior together, I was wondering, did we? Was that the first time we met? Because it's very recent, no? From a
Yeah.
numbers standpoint, that's
Yeah.
why numbers are not that important. You know, it's it's the package that you have. That's what she said.
He said.
Or he said. So yeah,
But yeah, this is so enlightening and so insightful. Uh, it it's breaking a preconceived notion of mine itself. Like a lot of people don't have exposure to folks like you. Like you had your brother, you had your dad,
yeah. No, that's right.
and understanding uh, like this is possible itself is not there. And I that's my goal with the entire podcast. That's my goal, especially for Indian students who, I don't know, things are changing rapidly. That might be the case, but I don't see Indian parents lowering their standard when it comes to their kids achieving things, right? They always like, I want the best for my parents, for my kids. I think that's going to be there. And
I think that's going. It's very that's going. Like I said, no, like people think that they've successfully removed the skin of the snake.
yeah,
It's going to come back. That's how it is, no.
yeah,
So do you think that you don't believe in marks, right? Then you believe in money.
yeah,
You don't believe in money, then you believe in, so as long as you start making numbers as your primary thing, no? Maths is supposed to solve problems, not create problems.
yeah.
So that's
And I like, you've been set an example to me itself. Like early on, I remember you had to learn a lot. Like even at White Hat, you had to learn a lot.
a
I
lot.
saw. I remember that I think a big part of our friendship was us discussing stuff
Bonding
around
on
work
code,
itself.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I remember. Even recently, I was wondering how did I figure out update records? And then I was like, oh yeah, Richard did it for me.
we
I
had a lot
remember.
of fun. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's
That's why
just
we're talking.
layers, and there are layers upon layers upon layers that we are experiencing about ourselves, and we are the ones who are breaking out to some extent, trying to break out.
Trying very hard to figure out. Yeah.
Whether it works out or not, I don't know, but it
Yeah, that's true.
it helps so much to know that you are doing it, and it gives me that little bit of confidence to continue with it, because you are doing it. I have people who are doing this. Let's, you know what, let's just do it. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that's what she said. Thank you so much for your time, dude. Thank you so
Thanks,
much for your
man.
time.
Yeah, of
Taking
course,
time
man.
from your
It was
life.
very nice. It was very nice talking to you also, yeah. For so long.
Hey, I'm back. I hope you found this conversation super useful. If you did, do share it with at least one person you think would find this conversation useful, just like you. And one more thing, support the podcast by rating us on Spotify, Apple and Google Podcast, and if you're watching this on YouTube, to hit the like and sub button. That's the only way we can get this conversation out to as many people as possible. And if you want us to talk to an expert from your field of interest, make sure to tweet us at InquiryR. That is INQUIRYHOUR. Next week, I'll be heading off to the beautiful landscapes of Himachal Pradesh for a short retreat at Sambhavna Institute. Hopefully, we get a chance to talk to experts in the field of social sciences. Until then, keep exploring.